Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom Moore. Tom, how's it going?
Tony, you get to do a show on one of the most intriguing transfer portal pickups for Ohio State this past cycle. It felt like they brought in all these veterans and then this one young guy, and it was like, all right. What do they know? And then when you watch the reaction from Georgia people about Dominick Kelly leaving Georgia, it was like, okay, I'm starting to figure out what they may know.
Yeah, and this was a situation where Ohio State went in and brought a bunch of starters from other programs through the portal. And then this guy, Dominick Kelly, sophomore corner from Georgia, who has no starting experience, played in 8 games, had some tackles, has some PBUs, played at IMG, a top recruit, 6'1", 190, good-sized cornerback, good-looking athlete, but does not fit what they, had been looking for in terms of what everybody else, with the experience. This guy's got 70 catches. This guy's got 4 interceptions. This guy's got 80 tackles. And then you've got Dominick Kelly, and this is not what everybody else is, which makes him stand out. And it's like you can't help but wonder, and you don't have to wonder because Ryan Day said they just really like the potential here. But it's so interesting to see all of the guys that they went and got, and we've talked about most of them to this point. And this guy's going to be a starting safety. This guy's the starting nickel. This guy's going to be the starting nose tackle. And then we get to Dominick Kelly in terms of what to expect in 2026. And it's, to me, there's going to be something, right? They didn't go get him for next year, for 2027, even though that's going to be a key part to this. But if they felt like he's not ready to play, that's not nobody they've added except for maybe some kickers on the down low.
Right. Yeah. This is one of those things where you can look and you can go, okay, so are they adding him because they think he could potentially start this year, or at the least be a really solid third corner rotational piece? Or are they adding him because they know Jermaine Matthews is done after this year and they know they need another starting outside corner next year to go opposite Devin Sanchez, and so they're adding him because of that? Or are they adding him because it's like, boy, if you get someone hurt, you might need some insurance, or, maybe he ends up playing in the nickel or something like that? And the answer is, yeah, maybe. Yes, probably. Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, to any and all of those, he could fit in any of those sort of spots where you've had a year. You just look at the sort of track record there where he comes in, he's playing a little bit at Georgia. He obviously, if you're getting recruited by Kirby Smart to play defense, you're probably a pretty good player. You're playing at IMG, you're playing good high-level national competition in high school, so you're already reasonably well prepared to come in and step onto a college campus and play a little bit your freshman year. And played reasonably well. He was not a freshman starter, was not a, freshman All-American, but he was a really, for a true freshman corner on a high-level program, that's a really solid freshman season. And that's the kind of freshman season that sort of indicates, okay, bigger things ahead your sophomore year, and then probably significantly bigger things ahead your junior year. That's sort of the traditional path. Devin Sanchez was probably a little bit ahead of that path last year for Ohio State. So I'm assuming Devin Sanchez is probably a little bit ahead in terms of that second starting corner spot outside, but I don't think Dominick Kelly is terribly far behind. And if they can have him be just a, third corner rotational guy that they can throw in there in big games and not be too worried about it, that already tells you, that already in and of itself is the answer to why did they bring this guy in.
Yeah, we know they love having that third corner that can play, that can, makes the nickel and the dime deeper. You go back to 2024, right, when that was Jermaine Matthews. He was their number 3 corner. He played 395 snaps. And then last year, you go to Devin Sanchez as that third corner. He played 321 snaps. if you don't have that third corner, then you've got to go to the fourth corner. And last year that would have been, maybe Aaron Scott. The year before that, it would have been Aaron Scott, And this year, if you don't have, say, Dominick Kelly as that third corner, you're turning towards most likely a true freshman or one of the redshirt freshmen from last year, or redshirt sophomores from last year in terms of like a Miles Lockhart. So they needed to go and get deeper and not even older, just deeper and better and find that number 3 guy who can push and play. And so I think that's, they're looking around and this guy, he's just there. Right. And, he's willing to come in and fight for a spot, but also I really just think they love having this third corner, which is, I think it's a sellable point because we've seen both of those guys, Jermaine Matthews in 2024 and 2023, start at times. Devin Sanchez started a couple of games because if any corner is injured, if any nickel is injured, you just move those parts around and boom, you're in the lineup. But you're also going to be playing regardless. They may want to rotate a little bit more this year. They may, when we saw Jermaine Matthews have to slide inside, then boom, that's why Devin Sanchez played so many snaps this year. Number 1, he was the dime. Number 2, Jermaine Matthews was the backup nickel. And we saw what happened with Lorenzo Styles and his bad shoulder. That put a lot of snaps out there for Devin Sanchez. So to have a viable, talented third corner, which I think they believe Dominick Kelly can be, I think it's invaluable because if your number 3 guy is good enough to start, then boy, you've got a pretty good group of corners.
Yeah, you've got a pretty good group of corners, and you also have some insurance where if someone goes down, and that does happen, guys do get hurt sometimes. If someone goes down, you've got another guy who you feel is going to be able to just kind of go in and not be a big drop off and not be someone who just immediately gets picked on. And the other way it's insurance is they've got a couple really talented. They get 3 true freshman corners coming in, and there are really, they're Jay Timmons and Jordan Thomas and Kamari Bing. They're high on all those guys, but you don't want to have to throw a true freshman in there. If they're ready, great, by all means. Devin Sanchez was ready, played, ahead of guys who were older than him that came in with some recruiting hype. I mean, Aaron Scott came in with some recruiting hype, and it was Devin Sanchez out there against Texas in game 1 in the 1-2 game week 1 last year. So if that guy's ready, wonderful, by all means, take that role. But you don't want to have to throw those guys in there before they're ready. Having another veteran guy like Kelly, and he's a veteran. He played all of 8 games in a backup role for Georgia last year. So this is not exactly George Blanduck joining the team or anything like that. But it's he's got an extra year of experience at the high conference, major conference kind of level, and a good team in that major conference level. So he's got a year of a head start on those other guys. And if Jay Timmons, if Jordan Thomas, if Kamari Bing is ready, like, great, wonderful, by all means, or, take whatever role you can earn there. But if you don't have to have those guys thrown in there right away, you don't need, great, all the better. This is part of the conversation why they brought in Cam Calhoun as well. If you don't, these younger guys, if they're not ready, you don't want to throw them in before they're really ready. Because then, you don't want to have that be everyone's first impression of you is the guy who got thrown in. Was it Marshawn Lattimore, right? Was that against Michigan State, right?
Garyon Conley.
That's who I was thinking of. Yeah. Where came in and was, not ready for prime time. He was early in his career and ended up with a first round draft pick, didn't he? Garyon Conley. Yeah. So ended up a first round draft pick, but his first impression for Ohio State fans, he got thrown into the fire before he was ready. That was not a real good time. So if you can avoid that, great. And this feels like one of the steps on the road to not having to do that. Yeah.
I would agree. And, Cam Calhoun's also a name that could factor in with that number 3 corner as well. So Tom, get the old inkwell out. In terms of expectations and stats, I want to do this. Let's go with, boy, this feels high. because these are Jermaine Matthews' sophomore stats. 22 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, and a sack. The reason I know this isn't going to happen is because there are no pass breakups, and Dominick Kelly had 3 as a true freshman. So I'll go, let's go 14 tackles. All right. No tackles for loss. No need there. And I think there will be, let's say 4 pass breakups and an interception. I do think he will get, Northwestern's quarterback. Whoever that might be, nobody knows.
Who is Northwestern's quarterback this year? Boy, that's
probably Kaliak McManus or,
yeah,
John Stocco Jr., Zach Galifianakis, Kustok.
Yeah. Do they still have the 5-star kid, the Hunter Thompson, or no? Hunter Thompson was an author. Hunter, whatever his name was, from Clemson. I don't know. Northwestern, famous for always having a quarterback of some sort. Yes. Yeah. Those are reasonable numbers. And here's the thing. Those numbers could be very low if he ends up earning he could end up with 30 tackles this year if he ends up earning essentially a starting or co-starting kind of spot and playing 30 snaps a game, 35 snaps a game. Those numbers could be very low. I think those numbers are a good baseline expectation where if he hits those numbers, you should not be disappointed. But I think there's a decent chance he goes over those numbers just because I think there's a lot of different ways he could find his way onto the field for more snaps than than you might assume.
Yeah, I would agree. So there you go. Some thoughts on what to expect from Dominick Kelly. Again, put it down in ink. We would appreciate it. We would also appreciate a thumbs up if you're watching on the old YouTube and a 5-star rating or interview on your audio side as well. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later.